Issue 201. We start out with the Freedom Fighters at a concert with Sally saying that Sonic's moped enough. Sally then says that this isn't the first time they thought they defeated him. That leads me to something I forgot to mention about last issue. They're trying to pretend that Eggman is the same guy from the pre-50 issues, Robotnik, as Eggman said he came back. This is terrible from a writing standpoint. If they want to retcon it, they should actually do so in-universe. I'm not sure what magic could happen to make it so that Eggman was always Robotnik, aside from maybe Robotnik's soul was put into Eggman's. Though that contradicts Robotnik being briefly brought back from one issue just fine without a soul. Either way, this is another instance of Flynn ignoring the elephant in the room rather than explaining it and making it make more sense to everyone. Instead of having the characters look like they have amnesia and pretending Eggman was always the same person as the guy he looks completely different from. Seriously, I don't get the confusion here. They could either not do that, or make it that they became the literal same person for real. This works on a meta level, not constantly having to remind the audience of the extra detail that he's not the original Robotnik, but fails in universe logic-wise, as she says that this isn't the first time they defeated him, when it is. Anyways, Sonic says to Sally at Mina's concert, "I saw him snap! Dude totally fell apart right in front of me. I beat him plenty of times before, but this felt different. Like I did something to him worse than just kicking his butt. It's like things went too far this time." I like that he's talking about something heavy like this in his characteristic, informal, charming Sonic-like way. It makes it easier to get invested in. While this is pointless recap and really they could have removed the first couple panels of this issue and lost nothing, it is nice for Sonic's hero character to establish that he's still feeling bad about what happened to Eggman. But my problem is that it seems to be only Sonic who's feeling really bad for him. It makes sense in that he's really the only one who beat him, so only he could be held responsible for this, meaning only he would have guilt on top of pity, making it even worse. But the fact remains that he shouldn't be the only hero sweet enough to be worried about Eggman. Everyone else should be at least a little unhappy. Not that Eggman should be pitied in the slightest, but I'm talking about pure self-righteous heroes here, and yet it's only Sonic, while Sally's just telling him he's been moping enough, which is more in line with how I'd be reacting, but unexpected for a self-righteous hero. At least Sonic lampshades that Eggman shouldn't be pitied. Oh, they finally bothered to give Mina's band a name! It just hit me how lazy it was that they only just named it. They're the Forget-Me-Nots, which makes sense as they're dedicated to Knothole. The concert gets ruined before it can begin because lightning almost strikes Mina as a warning from Monkey Khan, who finally has a good design. The problem is that he's not explaining why he's acting this antagonistic at all, as he says, at a time like this, without the first sentence of his mouth immediately being, "There are queens coming!" Instead, he just insults everyone, saying the oddly cathartic line, "What kind of lazy, self-congratulatory jerks revel when the rest of the world suffers?" Does he just assume that everyone in the world, or at least everyone in the city, knows about the Iron Queen and what's going on with her? I guess it would make sense that since the Freedom Fighters were stupid enough not to arrest Snively, they'd also not bother to monitor his empire and find out about the next threat, which Khan didn't know they weren't monitoring. This isn't the first time he's lost his temper. Khan tried to attack Robotropolis and scare the Overlanders in the process one time, although his temper was infuriatingly ineffective there because he should have leveled Robotropolis and taken down Eggman himself at that point and thus saved all of the Overlanders, but instead he just left. And still, Khan just insults everyone without bothering to explain anything like a complete dumbass, and I don't remember him being that stupid in the communication skills the last times we saw him. As Espio is meditating, he sees some lightning and somehow figures out there's trouble at the Coliseum specifically. Even though, while it looks like the lightning striking that place, it could also be striking other areas too, and not just that place. Why is he assuming there's trouble and it's not just there's bad weather? Is he psychic? How could he possibly know something bad's gonna happen soon? It's a played out cliche in fiction for characters to know stuff they shouldn't like that. It just reads out as characters having gotten a copy of the script ahead of time. With Espio rushing ahead to be a hero, Sonic attacks Khan again, and Sally stops their arguing, playing her role as mediator. Khan tells Sally that all they did was change who's in charge, and says that now she's in control, saying that playing the pronoun game rather than saying, now the Iron Queen's in control, like a normal person. Back at the Egg Dome, which looks like a lavish castle now, making it look a lot better, The Iron Queen is told by a lynx with a straw hat that the Yag-Yu clan have found Eggman City in ruin, and only the Egg Dome is operational. The Iron Queen then acts like that's a good thing and compliments Snively as his steward for some reason, even though it's supposed to be her city now. Her city in ruins. So how is she supposed to move her people to a city that's destroyed? How is she gonna run it? How is a destroyed city gonna benefit her in any way? I mean, it's not even going to provide good security. And does this mean that Dark Legionnaires are homeless now? Either way, I'm already finding it charming the way these two interact. It's nice to see a loving couple for once in this comic that isn't Antoine and Bunny. Oh, I like that the Iron King actually points out that the city sucks, saying that they had everything back in the Iron Dominion. Wait, it wasn't called that, it was called the Dragon Kingdom. Or is that a separate country that was being threatened by the Iron Dominion? Also, I hate that it looks like he has no eyeballs, like he's a demonic minotaur rather than a normal Mobian. Is that going to be explained? I don't remember him looking like that last time. Then the Iron King complains about how Snively is only announcing the Iron Queen, and he's jealous that he's acting so familiar to her. I didn't mention this when I originally made the recording because I assumed they'd explain it in the comic, but they're only married for political reasons. So you don't have to worry about the Iron Queen having relations with a bull monster guy. No, they're just there for political reasons. I'm shocked that the comic didn't actually explain that, and it was just... maybe it was an interview that explained it or something? The Iron Queen tells them this is only temporary, and they'll move the seat of the Empire back to their holdings in the Dragon Kingdom soon. She has to be lying, because why would they go through the effort of moving here just to come back home? Snively, seeming to be even more terrified of the Iron King than of Robotnik as Karma, says that all the weapons in the ruins can join his collection, calling him his king. The Iron King snorts steam out of his nostrils that somehow doesn't burn him from convection or something, and then he leaves with the lynx saying that their army here is so weak. Wait, Conquering Storm is her actual name? Either that or a title, but why the hell would her title be in English if she's from the East? And we've seen a few town names that sound Asian before with Monkey Khan, so it's not like the East all speaks English exclusively in this world. Also, why is their army so weak? Did they only bring a tiny portion of it to this place and the weakest ones at that? Well, this makes sense, since they're coming to a ruined empire, they want to keep their soldiers back home for the most part. Dimitri comes up to Snively, amusing me by saying, "I come in regards to your weak army," as they realize that the army was actually the army of Dark Legionnaires, and not an army from the Iron King. So the Iron King and Queen came over here with no army of their own to serve as bodyguards or invading forces? The Iron Queen says that she can't remove the explosives from Dimitri's people, causing me to assume she's lying. I mean, why would they? Why would she be able to remove the explosives when she's not an engineer? And why would Dimitri be idealistic enough to assume that someone in a position of power would be nice enough to remove a loyalty insurer like that? Then the Iron Queen surprises me by saying that she's developed a microchip that will disable the detonator signal, meaning she can still provide the Dark Legion with freedom. Why would she do that? How could that benefit her? I mean, I'm operating under the assumption that she's a sociopath, hence the slick charm making her so likable despite her driving a town to dehydration with an eternal fire at one point. So maybe there's more to this than meets the eye. After a silence where Dimitri looks worried and suspicious, and the villain smirks since he has no choice, he takes them resentfully, probably wondering if these are explosives too, and Snively calls him too trusting even though he didn't look trusting at all at the time. It's cute seeing that Snively can fit in her lap, like they're taking advantage of the fact that he's inexplicably really short in addition to having a really big nose for a human. It's weird, they never have any other humans designed to have noses like that, making me wonder why it's not explained that he has a mutation, since he doesn't look the same species as the Overlanders. The Iron Queen says she plans to get rid of the heroes, even though the heroes aren't doing anything to bother her yet. She'll dispose of the Oaf Iron King, and she says self-awarely that they'll rule the world with an iron fist, because I guess she's nuts enough to be proud of that instead of ashamed. And Snively says she's saying sweet things because they're positive, reassuring things to him. Then we see Khan telling Elias where it stands, explaining that most of the ninja and their clan leaders are still in the Dragon Kingdom. Okay, so is it called the Iron Dominion or not? But yeah, he clearly tells them about the Iron Queen and her army here. Remember that. I like that Antoine looks worried here, saying, "My god." And Sally looks all worried too, apologizing because the heroes didn't know about the Queen's army. Ilias asks Antoine to help him gather the council because he needs help with that for some reason, despite being a regular part of the council for quite some time. Maybe he just wanted Antoine to feel useful. I like that Khan apologizes for his actions, and so soon at that. Sally just assumes for some reason there are freedom fighters in the Iron Dominion, is told by an unhappy Khan that there aren't, and Sonic is confident that they can get rid of the Iron Queen easily. For some reason, Khan doesn't proceed to explain why he can't by telling him everything she's capable of, like a normal person would do. Khan goes with him with Sally, telling them this is only a mission for them to check things out. Wait, is Sally gonna get in trouble with the council for giving out an order without their say-so? Khan flies on his cloud alongside a running Sonic, who I'm guessing is running slower so he can keep up, and he's adorably happy to learn that Sally isn't dating Sonic anymore. I'm glad they didn't forget about his crush on her, but did conveniently forget that he kidnapped her. I hope something will come of this, something that's significant and not just Sonic and Sally immediately get back together. Wait, how do you know they were dating in the first place? He never lived in Knothole or Sonic City. The two live completely separate lives. Anyway, Snively is warned that Sonic and Khan are headed for the city, and he and the Iron Queen are happy to learn that because they think they'll defeat the guy who overthrew Eggman effortlessly. In the next story, Espio asks Nicole why there are lightning strikes in the Coliseum on a clear day, and after we see a close-up of Espio with what looks like a heart monitor in the background, suddenly Espio catches something thrown by Lightning Lynx that he couldn't have possibly known was coming. Seriously, it'd be fine if they just said he's psychic. Just being a ninja, which was the equivalent of a murder and organized crime in Japan, so nothing really special there. We have plenty of those at home. Just being a ninja shouldn't by itself give him magical psychic powers, which come out of complete nowhere since we've never seen Espio be psychic before. It only makes sense because he's a ninja. Nicole says that something's wrong because she's not detecting the rest of the Destructics here. Yeah, because apparently she has the magical bullshit power to be able to detect specific people across an entire city now. I mean, if she had that power, then when she warped to Tails when he was trying to free his father from jail, why didn't she know that it was Tails doing that before seeing him? Lightning Lynx, calling Espio his brother, says that he's inexplicably not with the Destructics anymore and is here on clan business. Huh? Since when was he part of a clan? He tells Espio that the clan wars are over because the Iron Queen rules them all now. And Espio says that's impossible, drastically underestimating their witch who created a fire raging for a really long time over a volcano for some reason. Why didn't she immediately create another fire, by the way? Why did Sonic get rid of the fire and then she didn't just create another one? Lightning Lynx says that the Iron Queen killed the bride of rich knights and took the Yagyu clan as her own. So the others started working for her out of fear. Okay, giant plot hole again. Why didn't she do this a lot earlier? She's got magical powers! Again, that scepter of hers created that huge fire one time. She couldn't make another of those? She couldn't make another scepter? And I'm expected to believe that she only just killed this one person now? This is a prime example of why it doesn't make sense to have that many major villain candidates on one planet on the same time period, without them taking each other out years ago. Logically, this should have happened years ago. Then Lightning Lynx says that he brings orders from the Bride of Constant Vigil herself, saying that she entrusted those orders to him, an evil member of the Destructics that she shouldn't trust anymore because of that. I can imagine all this referencing to Bride of the so-and-so would be really confusing to new-time readers who just assume, naturally, that we've already seen these characters before as long-time readers, but we haven't. They're just referring to characters we don't know yet with fancy titles as if they're people we should know already and care about. And while Espio says the Shinobi clan would never, he doesn't get to finish his sentence. Does he mean that they never bowed down to her? I don't know what this Shinobi clan is. Lightning Lynx says that he is entrusted to her now, as the Bride of the Conquering Storm saw the value in an agent already established in the region. Oh wait, maybe he means the region Espio's living in, not the Dragon Kingdom. And she didn't think to use an agent that wasn't a criminal? Finally, Nicole talks, being a perfect audience surrogate as she's just as confused as I am. All this Espio stuff comes out of complete fucking nowhere considering what little we used to know about him as a character. Which amounts to, he came from a race of chameleons with an ancient village on Angel Island, so firmly established in it that they hate outsiders. The end. Espio then annoyingly says he can't explain because the writer wants us to find out about all this later, I guess. And he says the freedom fighters can't help. Somehow. Espio says that he's been summoned, and is for some reason agreeing to this damn summoning to work for an evil tyrant and betray all of his friends. This is such great writing. He then says, "Tell Knuckles never mind. What, you love him?" They could have easily not written that line if they weren't going to finish it. After Nicole proceeds to not call him out on being a traitor just as bad as Fiona because I guess she's nice like that, Lightning Lynx calls his master on an invisible Bluetooth and says with the first U in his text being darker than the other letters for some reason that Khan is a pretender to the throne, and he and Sonic are on their way to be heroes. Wow, this story isn't fun. Okay, so this issue is by Ian Flynn. Nothing really happens in it. It just builds up to another story where something will, as Khan ruins Mina's concert, warning everyone about the Iron Queen coming, while not explaining what she's capable of. And not to mention, he just insults everyone, assuming they all know what he's talking about before even bothering to start warning everyone. Who has social skills like this? I hope this is pointed out as an intentional character flaw, because conflict created by poor communication skills is really irritating if it's unintentional by the writers, like Sonic Rivals, because then it's forced and arbitrary. But yeah, that's all that happens in the story. Khan shows up to warn everyone, Espio shows up not doing anything, and Sonic and him go to face off with the Iron Queen. The real problem is the second story, which I'm guessing will explain everything in later issues, but that's not really a good way to write a beginning to an arc or anything. You shouldn't have the source of suspense and the hook be a giant plot hole leaving out very basic information. Espio turning traitor here makes Fiona's betrayal look logical and reasonable. Even the dog being a traitor made more sense because at least his motive was that he wanted power, even if that motive was only introduced after he betrayed her. What does Espio want out of this? If he's doing it for honor, then honor would be not betraying all of his friends for an evil tyrant, who do you think he have greater loyalty to? The big problem with the story is that there has been no indication in the entire comic up to this point that Espio has had a life outside of Angel Island. For all we knew, he spent his whole life in the Chameleon town on Angel Island, which was so isolated and traditionalist that the Chameleons disapproved of Espio having non-Chameleon friends. Here it's like Flynn decided to drop that concept rather than improve on it like he's famous for, and retconned it so that suddenly Espio is from the East and has old duty ties to a clan in the East that he's never been in. This is so arbitrary. And he refuses to explain anything to Nicole, or even apologize, and she proceeds to not act like an actual character would by calling him out on being a traitor. Not to mention that Lightning Lynx is suddenly not a part of the Destructix anymore, which I thought would be explained in this issue, but it's just swept under the rug instead, and it's never explained or lampshaded how he's trusted with the orders of a subordinate of the Iron Queen despite being an evil criminal. Out of all the different Lynxes in the world, why him? And why did he call Espio, a chameleon, his brother? That's all that I have to say about the story. Why? That's not good writing if I'm frustrated instead of enjoying myself. I shouldn't have to know about all the future issues of the arc just to get any enjoyment and understanding out of this. Writing like this makes me miss the simple days where the comic was completely episodic, which wasn't a bad thing. Espio's actions would make sense if he had resentment against the heroes for something they did to him, which would cause him to want to rebel. It would make sense if Espio was brainwashed, but neither of those things are true. I'm not mad at Espio, I'm mad at the writing derailing him to an unquestioning slave to the major villain just to create conflict. We didn't need this to happen, so it feels unnecessary. And it doesn't make sense that Espio would betray everyone he loves like this, so it's forced.